You know, have you ever noticed how the loudest warnings in the tech industry almost always come from the exact same people who are pushing the boundaries the fastest? Take this quote: "The AI industry is a car with an accelerator but no brake pedal." That was Jack Clark, co founder of Anthropic, speaking back on June 4, 2026. But here's the crazy part: the profound irony here. Exactly 5 days after giving that warning about unchecked AI speed, Anthropic dropped Claude File. That's their most powerful, absolutely massive, first ever publicly available Mythos class model. It perfectly sets the stage for today's explainer, right? It really highlights the structural trap we're in with the frontier AI era. The labs that are most aware of the risks are literally the ones racing the fastest to capitalize on them. And just to really anchor the sheer dizzying scale of this acceleration in reality, let's look at a staggering number: 1 billion. ChatGPT just became the first AI product in history to hit 1 billion monthly active users. I mean, wow. We are way past the early adopter phase. We're not talking about niche tech tools anymore. We are talking about global, structural integration into literally how humanity works and creates on a daily basis. So, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into this incredibly complex June 2026 landscape. We're going to look past all that daily news noise and really examine the definitive strategic shifts happening right now. We'll be unpacking the latest insights from AI Intelligence Weekly, distilling all these massive geopolitical and market movements into clear, actionable layers. Here's our agenda for today. We're descending through what we're calling the layers of AI. So we'll cover the AI public market race, the distribution and UX moat, the energy infrastructure bottleneck, defense and enterprise AI, the coding tool more, and finally, practical AI literacy. We're moving from the dizzying heights of trillion-dollar markets right down to the physical energy grid and eventually straight to the tools on your personal desk. Let's get into it. Starting at the very top, we have Layer 1, the AI public market race, or as we call it, the trillion-dollar benchmark. Okay, so look at this. The race right now isn't just about who has the smartest model. It's a massive, high-stakes sprint to Wall Street. And SpaceX perfectly sets the financial benchmark for the entire AI industry here. They had this explosive IPO debut on June 12th, pricing at a $1.75 trillion valuation. Well, following right on their heels, both Anthropic and OpenAI have filed confidential S1s. And they're targeting valuations hovering right around that $1 trillion mark. They are racing each other to the public markets, not necessarily because they're desperate for the cash, but because whoever lists first basically sets the valuation norm for the rest of the decade. So how SpaceX trades in its first 30 days, that is absolutely the most crucial data point for anyone building financial models for AI companies right now. Keep your eyes on that. Moving down a layer, we arrive at Layer 2, the distribution and UX moat. This is where the AI model itself actually becomes a commodity. A massive seismic shift happened at Apple's WWDC that totally changes how we need to view consumer AI competition. This brilliantly illustrates our core thesis. The model layer is essentially becoming a commodity, while the UX layer, the user experience, is the actual defensive moat. Think about it. Apple, arguably the most design-disciplined company in the world, spent years trying to build their own large language models. But they realized they just weren't quite competitive yet. So what do? They decide to rebuild Siri from scratch by paying Google a staggering $1 billion a year to license their Gemini 1.2 trillion parameter model. $1 billion a year! This absolutely proves that raw model capability isn't the deciding factor anymore. It's distribution, it's the interface, and it's the ecosystem. Those are your true moats. But what kind of physical reality is actually required to power these massive ecosystem shifts? That brings us right to Layer 3, the energy infrastructure bottleneck, where compute explicitly meets power. The crucial point to understand here is that AI is fundamentally an energy story now. Capital allocators are aggressively, and I mean aggressively, pairing compute with power generation. Look at SoftBank. They're pledging 75 billion euros to build 5 gigawatts of AI data centers in France. That makes this a literal geopolitical imperative. Then you've got KKR, NVIDIA, and Vista launching a $10 billion infrastructure company. Why all this money? Because the UN projects that by 2030, AI data centers could devour 945 terawatt hours annually. To put that into perspective, that's enough power to run entire countries. It's an environmental cost that will inevitably, absolutely inevitably, trigger regulatory constraints. And furthermore, the physical scaling of AI is hitting reality in a very big way. EV giant BYD is jumping into humanoid robotics. By leveraging their absolutely massive battery and sensor manufacturing scale, they're positioned to drive down the cost of physical AI hardware to levels that Western manufacturers might seriously struggle to match. And on the other side of that physical scaling, Uber just launched continental Europe's first commercial robotaxi fleet in Madrid. So, autonomous systems are officially moving from these cute little pilot programs to actual paid, scalable services. The real world is catching up fast. This physical reality scales directly up to Layer 4, defense and enterprise AI, focusing on accelerated adoption. This is where theoretical capabilities collide head-on with rigid governance. Driven by the White House's NSPM 11 mandate, which, by the way, explicitly requires reliable, controllable, and secure national security AI, Microsoft just scored the largest deal in its entire history. We're talking about a massive $9.69 billion contract, pushing Microsoft 365, Azure, and Copilot to 2.8 million Department of Defense personnel. Think about the scale of that. This creates an incredibly wide procurement pathway for agentic AI to get directly into classified government environments. And let me tell you, that puts immense immediate competitive pressure on literally every other federal IT contractor out there. It's a real game changer. Drilling down from the macro enterprise level to everyday software creation, we hit Layer 5, the coding tool war, representing the stratification of the keyboard. Look, if you write software, the era of simple AI autocomplete is dead, gone. The market has completely stratified, and you really have to choose your tools strategically now. If you need strict enterprise governance, IP indemnity, and SOC 2 compliance, GitHub Copilot is your choice. If you want that pure power user flow and need whole repository context, Cursor is the undeniable winner. Now, maybe you need terminal-native deep reasoning for super complex architecture. In that case, you want Claude Code. And if you're just looking for a free or budget-friendly agentic IDE, Windsurf is your best entry point. The takeaway here is that it's no longer just about developer preference. Choosing your AI assistant is now a full-blown enterprise governance decision. Speaking of governance, if you operate in a regulated industry, your next big hurdle is ambient AI. Take a look at Microsoft Scout. This operates continuously across Teams, Outlook, and OneDrive without even being prompted. It literally just sits there, watches your workflow, executes administrative tasks, and prepares briefs totally in the background. This is a huge shift. It moves the AI from being just a tool you actively use to an operating layer that acts on your behalf. And you can probably guess that creates a massive delegation governance challenge. It's something every single enterprise is going to have to figure out before they deploy this stuff. Finally, let's bring all this geopolitical maneuvering and massive market movement right down to your personal desk. Layer 6, practical AI literacy, where we focus heavily on prompt discipline. The absolute most actionable move you can make today to improve your AI interactions is to treat every single AI output as a first draft, never a final result. You should strictly follow this dedicated 3-step discipline. Step 1. Ask. Clearly state the task, the target audience, and a specific constraint, all in a single prompt. Step 2. Review. Don't just blindly accept it. Check for accuracy, look for missing details, and definitely scan for sensitive info. Step 3. Revise. Give a highly specific refinement instruction. Don't just say, hey, make it better. Say something like, make it 30% shorter, or make it suitable for a non-technical audience. Following this loop, ask, review, revise, is absolutely the secret to getting production-grade AI output. I want to leave you with this really provocative self-assessment from the explainer's training phase. Can you explain AI concepts clearly to a non-technical colleague? Seriously, think about it for a second. If you cannot translate these complex technical shifts, from trillion parameter models to ambient governance, into clear, everyday business language right now, are you truly prepared for the next wave of AI? It's a critical question to ask yourself as we navigate this incredibly fast-moving landscape. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those hard questions, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.